Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery, IIMFL, and Smart Money Alliance. We tend to get together most weekday mornings, other than holidays and a few travel days spread between at this time, right before 8 o'clock Central. And it's where we get together with our distribution partners and talk shop, talk about best practices, strategies, what's working, what's not, and so forth. And I think most of you have discerned that the incubator model is probably our best delivery model going out into the marketplace. It allows us to create, with almost no out of pocket cost, relationships with those of you that want to be in more of a leadership role where we're doing a 50-50 revenue split. Today's topic is working off of this graphic that you see on the screen that hopefully will bring great clarity and also great excitement of what it is that we do, how we help entrepreneurs, and how you get paid. So the title is Joint Venture Small Business Incubator Revenue Model by Addressing Credibility Factors. And that's what you and I do. We help entrepreneurs have the credibility they need to get the results they want, to get funding. Credibility is necessary to buy a home, right? If you want a home mortgage, there are certain standards you have to meet. And if you meet the credibility standards, then you get approved for a mortgage. The same for auto loans, school loans, credit cards, but specifically, we're talking about business funding. The problem is in our society that we tend to teach people how to get a job, not how to create jobs. There's a great amount of illiteracy of, well, what does it take to get funding for my small business? And that's where you and I come in. We educate them, like using the 27 mistake PowerPoint, and then we have resources to help provide the credibility factors that they need, that they're deficient on. So no, we're not out to sell things, to sell people just for our own benefit. What we're trying to do is resolve the gap or the voids that they have that's preventing them from being credible. That is the obstacle from them getting funding. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, there's a lot of small business owners that don't know what they don't know. And they just say, I just want money. I just want funding. Well, that's too good to be true. You have to be credible enough for the type of capital that you're pursuing to be approved. No one's just going to give you free money. It doesn't work like that. So let's look at this model. And if you focus in here with me for the next few minutes, I think it's going to be very enlightening. So certainly our goal is to identify those of you that want to partner up and have a joint venture small business incubator. What I'm going to say now may shock you, but if you decide to do that, and we can get that set up within a 24-hour period or so, what I don't recommend that we do is go pitch the incubator to small businesses. You might say, well, why in the world is that? I think there's a better process, and I'm going to describe that process to you now. I believe that we need to start with the access to capital proposition. The Access to Capital program, as you probably know, offers entrepreneurs enrollment with no upfront cost. Why is that important? Well, some of them don't have much money. That's why they're interested in accessing capital. And others are going to have a lot of scrutiny or concern of, do I want to pay money up front or not? So by enrolling clients first in the Access to Capital program, they have no upfront cost, and we're still guaranteeing them a $100,000 capital raise. So this is a best practice of how to feed small businesses into your incubator. Now, you might say, well, that makes no sense. Then if there's no upfront cost to the client, then I, as a joint venture incubator manager, I'm not generating any income. This doesn't work. You got to follow through the logic here. So if we go to the market, even though you're running an incubator, if we spread the word about the Access to Capital program that has no upfront cost with the guaranteed $100,000 capital raise, we're going to be able to cast a wide net and get lots of client relationships. Now, let's go through this graphic here and talk about different credibility factors that may be an issue with the client, how we can help them, and how you monetize it. We're going to work counterclockwise, And so we're going to start with the key person policy. Well, many of you are licensed insurance agents. And so, of course, helping people protect their assets and all those good things that insurance can do is something that you and I probably would like to help more people with. And of course, that's a great income stream. What we've learned is that the resource that we provide the client or recommend to the client for their key person policy, which technically is a collateral assignment, needs to be different than what we previously thought. We recommend that we take to the client a recommendation of a return of premium policy. And so this makes it very palatable, very attractive to them, whereby either they die, which we hope doesn't happen, because if they die, the policy pays out. But if they don't die, then they get premiums refunded. And so that's more palatable to them. We've switched away from the old model to a new model of delivering the insurance policy, whereby our incubator managers are earning between 90 and 100% commission scale. Well, that's 2, 3, 4 times as much as the prior model. And so even if the average policy for the average client to be able to set up their collateral assignment is just $100 a month, $1,200 a year, guess what? That's generating right at about $1,000 commission. All of our incubators should be enrolling an average of 1 client a day, 30 to 35 clients a month. Well, we're only on the first pivot as we go around the graphic here. And if we did this 30 times in the month, that's $30,000 off of that revenue stream. Now, if you look at it pessimistically and say, oh, all you're trying to do is sell insurance, absolutely not. I mean, we've already established what we're doing is helping build the credibility factors so these small businesses have a loan package that is fundable, right? Because a lot of them are starting at a point where they're not fundable and they don't even know what they don't know. So they're very much dependent upon you and I to guide them through this process. So we can get them a key person policy that serves as a collateral assignment that will pay off the loan in case they die. And if they don't die, then they get their eligible premiums back. And the expected income, very conservatively, is around $1,000. Now, I know some of you are big hitters and you're selling big policies and making lots more than that. But don't worry about that. This is just one element. We're providing what the client needs, what they're suitable for, and you're pretty much assured of $1,000 income per client off of just this one credibility factor. So let's move on to the next. Now, what we know is, and of course, we've set up a joint venture incubator together. That's the whole premise of our model here. Some small businesses have it all covered. They have a commercial address. They have a business phone number listed with directory assistance. They have their website. They have branded emails. They're not using Gmail or Yahoo. They're able to produce income statements and financial statements through QuickBooks or similar software. But you know, the truth is that's the vast minority. Very few early stage small businesses have those credibility factors. That's where the incubator comes in. So we don't need to go in and force them into the incubator relationship. Simply by them coming into the Access to Capital program, we onboard them and we quickly determine, well, tell me about your address. Do you have a business phone number? We have a client profile form that automatically goes to them as soon as they come aboard in the Access to Capital program. So they're telling us what their deficiencies are. And then what your and my job is not to sell them an incubator membership or enrollment, but say, okay, we've got some credibility issues here that's going to impact your access to capital. We've got 2 options. Either you can participate in our incubator, and I can tell you more about the benefits of that, and it'll address all these credibility voids, or you can go do it on your own. You can go find your own commercial office space that's not a virtual office in terms of it's not shared space. You can go get your own business phone number. You can go form your own entity, you know, the whole value proposition. So if their business doesn't have credibility, they're not going to be able to access certain types of capital, including business credit, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And so they could choose to enroll in your incubator or to simply use your incubator for a commercial address. Two different price points here. These assumptions are based upon them participating in the full incubator. Well, we know that they're going to have a $999 deposit when they enroll to be in your incubator. And you say, oh, that's too much. Well, it's actually too little, because if you look at all that we're providing for them, it's not like a profit center for us. It's essentially getting them set up properly. And then they have ongoing $99 payments to remain in the incubator. So that's revenue stream that's coming to you going into your account as the joint venture small business incubator partner, and it's providing the credibility factors that they need. So will all clients that come into the access to capital need the incubator package? No. Will a good number of them? Yes. And even if they don't need that, our goal is never to sell something to someone that they don't need or they don't want. Our goal is to do what? Is to address their credibility factors so they can get funding, right? And so if they want the incubator package, then that's going to generate predictably around $6,000 over a year's time. Why? It's going to help them meet the credibility standards for funding. And furthermore, there's some additional perks that I do want to talk about before we move along. So participants that enroll in our joint venture incubator have access to a couple significant benefits that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. And these are really big deals, so pay attention, please. Number one, we have access to the Chapman Fund. The Chapman Fund is up to $250,000. It's not free money, it's a loan, but it's tax supported. So what you and I know that means is it's funding from a local taxing authority that they want to loan money. It's a lot easier to get access to the Chapman Fund than it is to go to your bank and get approved for a traditional loan or even an SBA loan. So it's more accessible because of its intention. It's money collected from the taxpayers of a given geographic area with the specific intent of helping start and grow small businesses. So this is another reason, in addition to having the commercial address, the business phone, the website, the QuickBooks, and all of that, another benefit of being of a client using your joint venture incubator with us is they would have access to the Chapman Fund. And maybe an even bigger deal is the workforce grant. We just announced this yesterday. And again, this is the real deal. This is tax supported money that will allow incubator clients to hire employees that the grant will pay for. Now, this is not a grant from us. Don't feel misrepresented. This is not our grant. This is a tax supported grant. Think about that now. For the typical small business, what's the biggest operating cost? It's typically the cost of labor. So by them participating in your joint venture incubator, they can have access to additional funding sources that they probably wouldn't have otherwise, but also they can get free labor. So these are full-time employees that are performing the duties as assigned by the employer, the incubator client, but the grant pays for them. The grant pays for their labor costs, their salary or hourly fees. They pay for the workers' comp, pays for the benefits. This is the real deal. This is free labor that incubator clients are eligible for. Well, try to quantify that. Even if you went and hired someone at $10 an hour, 40 hours a week, ignoring taxes and benefits and all of that, that's $400 a week for an entry-level employee that the incubator client's saving. But of course, there's 4 weeks in the month. So even if they just use this to hire one employee and receive free labor for that employee, that's saving them at least $1,600 or $2,000 a month. That more than offsets the entire cost of being part of the incubator, right? That's a strong proposition. Now, for those of you that are wanting to start joint venture incubators with us, we can do the same thing. And now all of a sudden we can provide you free labor. You can set up a call center of 3, 5, 10, 20 employees that are just reaching out to small business owners, offering them access to capital. And instead of you needing to pay for those employees, the grant will pay for those employees. Let's just use a quick example and then we'll move on. Let's say you wanted to start a joint venture incubator and say, yes, it makes sense. Let's set up a little call center. Let's have 10 employees that the grant's paying for. So we got 10 people working full-time, working the phones, because we can provide them leads all day long, right? We have all the new start businesses across the country. So they're making calls, we're making calls. Let's say that each of those 10 work an 8-hour day along with a lunch break and a couple other breaks. And all they muster up is one new access to capital client a day. So they work 8 hours, they've made what, 80, 100 calls or more. All they came up with is one small business that wants access to capital with no upfront cost to the client and a guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. Well, if we have 10 of these people making calls, now we're adding 10 clients a day. And let's assume that we don't work weekends, we don't work evenings, so we just have 20 work days a month. That's 200 new clients a month. Well, now we're writing 200 key person policies. We have 200 small businesses that might in fact benefit from full incubator membership, and we'll go on around. So a really big deal, not only the Chapman Fund, which we've talked about before, but the workforce grant of providing free labor to small businesses is huge for most business types. Okay, let's rotate on around. So now we're over to credit boost. What's the credibility factor we're addressing here? Well, some entrepreneurs do not have very strong personal credit for one reason or the other. Now you might fight back and say, well, I thought this was about business credit and business funding. Well, different sources of capital have different underwriting criteria. So are we going to address business credit? Yeah, we're going to do that in just a second. But we would be ignorant or foolish or wrong to think that it's not good or better to have as strong a personal credit as possible. So one of the arrows in the quiver of the joint venture incubator that we do, again, a 50-50 revenue split off of, is the credit boost. We normally can add about 100 points to someone's credit score in 30 to 60 days. They don't pay anything up front, they just pay based upon the results. It'll generate an average of $1,000. And again, we're all about 50-50 revenue split. So what's the pitch? No upfront cost for better credit, only pay for results. So if we were to go out and enroll, let's just say 100 access to capital clients in a month, we're going to use that just as a round number. Don't get fixated on is that reasonable or not, or how long it would take to ramp up. We know that pretty much all of them would need a collateral assignment for their loan package. And so we're going to talk about not how many will actually participate and fully engage, but how many need it. So out of 100 of these, we should have an opportunity to sell 100 of these. Now, not all will need an incubator or commercial address. Some of them will already have some of those resources, but the vast majority, a good 3/4, don't have the business credibility they need. So they're a very good prospect for this package, which helps them and generates more income for you. Of the credit boost, which is we're on now, from our experience, about 75% of the access to capital clients will benefit from a credit boost. So you can see that the cumulative income that you can generate from each client is outstanding, not by taking advantage of them, not by convincing them to do things that they don't want or need, just simply by doing what? Helping them become educated and addressing the credibility factors that are necessary to access capital. So we get over to business credit building now. The credibility factor that we're addressing on this one is business credit. We want a strong PAYDEX score, Dun & Bradstreet. We want a strong Experian business score, which is called IntelliScore. Well, the way we don't charge them anything up front for this. We help them access capital off of their EIN, often with no personal guarantees. And the way that they pay is based upon the results, based upon the amount of capital raised, which we're getting up to the 12 o'clock position here in a minute. So what percent of access to capital clients will benefit from a business credit raise? Almost 100%. There's very few small businesses that really understand business credit. that have set their profile up, that have added the trade lines and are able to go buy things using their business credit. I've told you many times, I have a company car. It's parked right outside the office here, and it's not on my personal credit. It is bought under the EIN. It reports on the business credit bureaus. It doesn't affect my debt to income, doesn't affect anything from personal credit. So we can help small businesses access capital off of their EIN, and that's part of the access to capital proposition. This doesn't require a separate agreement. And on average, we'll be able to get them $100,000 of business credit. We know there's a 6% performance fee, which is very reasonable. And so that's generating another $6,000 for the incubator. Now we come all the way up here to the performance fee. So overall, what we're trying to do is provide a capital raise, access to capital for the participants. And we know that we guarantee at least 100,000. And at 6%, which is a very reasonable, very low performance fee, you know that's going to generate 6,000 or more, because we don't have to stop at 100,000 capital raise. If they want more, we can continue to work with them to raise more. And again, they only pay upon results. Now, quite frankly, this and this is overlapping. So if that all they wanted was business credit, then kind of ignore this top position and everything would fall over under this. But for most of the clients, they'll want to build out their business credit, but also they'll want to look at different types of capital, like an SBA loan. You cannot get an SBA loan off of business credit alone. You can't. It's part of the credibility factors that they use, but business credit alone will not get you an SBA loan, for example. So that's why we break these out. So let's review this and then start answering your questions. So what do we want? We want to develop relationships with those of you that would like to run a joint venture small business incubator. Why would you want to consider doing that? Number one, there's next to no out-of-pocket cost, so that's attractive. That's not a barrier. Secondly, we're going to be helping small businesses. We're helping them understand and have the credibility factors they need to be able to access capital. And also, there's an extraordinary revenue model. So if we had a client that came into the access to capital, which is probably the best way to go out to the marketplace, right? Because there's no upfront cost and we have a guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. By going through the 4-week process of building out the loan package, what we're going to find out is most of them need a key person policy. So for each client, bam, there's $1,000 coming into the joint venture. Secondly, many of them do not have the business credibility in terms of the address, the business phone number, and so forth. Some of them will, but many of them don't. So bam, over the life of that client, that generates another $6,000 to the joint venture. Next, about 3/4 of them are going to have some credit deficiencies, and they would benefit from a personal credit boost, which has no upfront cost. That will generate on average $1,000 more for the joint venture. We know that most of them will not have a built-out business credit profile, but will have a willingness and a desire to strengthen their business credit profile so they can access capital or some sorts of types of capital off of the EIN alone. And that should generate on average another $6,000 for the joint venture partnership. And ultimately, we know that every client that comes into the access to capital, even if they don't do these other things, they're guaranteed a $100,000 capital raise. We will work with them to help them raise at least $100,000, and they're promising to work with us until that. We know that they've promised to pay a low 6% performance fee, so we know that there's another $6,000 coming in to the joint venture. So one client could in fact generate 1,000 plus 6, so we're at 7, plus 1 is 8, plus 6 is 14, plus 6 is 20. One client that you generate for each client has the potential of generating $20,000 that comes into the joint venture small business incubator. Now, again, like any business, there's expenses. It's not all profit. That would be ignorant to think. we know that we're doing a 50-50 split. So we have a potential of $20,000 to come into the joint venture. We know that we're splitting it 50-50, and there's some nuances to that, but let's just leave it simple for now. So your net is potentially, around $10,000 per client. Well, our goal is to average one client a day coming into the incubator. Again, not all of them are going to cash flow like that. Not all of them are going to need the incubator package. Not all of them are going to need credit boost. The less of these things they need, the better. We're not like mad or disappointed that they have great credit or they already have business credibility. Wonderful. The more of these things that they have, the quicker we can work around and get them funded, which is the ultimate goal for them and the biggest piece of the pie for the joint venture. So let's get into the questions that you have to make sure that you understand this model, because if you stop to assimilate it, it's a really awesome proposition, right? We're helping small businesses with what they need, meeting the credibility factors to access capital. We can start the relationship with them with no upfront cost and with the guaranteed capital raise. And then just very organically, as we're taking them through that 28-day, 4-week development of both financial literacy and of their loan package, we can discern voids they have and assist them. Okay, so Greg asked, what platform are we using to teach? We use an award-winning curriculum developed by the FDIC, promoted by the SBA, and it's embedded in that 4-week curriculum. And so it's called a blended learning model, Greg. So what that means is each week during the 4 weeks, the client will have a lesson that they learn. They can access it on demand 24/7, and then they'll be working with a mentor who's going to help them implement what they've learned. So that's the answer to the platform, Greg. And all of those lessons are available for you or the world to review. We don't keep them a secret, so you could preview them in advance, Greg, and make sure that they are as credible as what you would expect or demand. And that's on the IIMFL website, by the way. Okay, so Marcus asked, so Marcus, if you're wanting to be a joint venture small business incubator, then this is the model that we're going to follow. Now, some of you are just referral partners and you don't want to run an incubator. That's fine. Then just go out and spread the word however you want. You can refer people into the Access to Capital program as an affiliate, and that's just fine. But here, and really what we're focused on is supporting and training and assisting our joint venture small business incubators. So Marcus, the answer to your question really is dependent upon, are you going to run a JV or not? Okay. To the joint venture incubator partner is set up off the same platform that we've had forever and a day. And we refer to it as a branch manager. It's just the branch now is encompassing an incubator. And to get set up to be a joint venture incubator partner, it's a big whopping $250, right? And so we've talked about the budget over here before. We've had a training session on this, and we disclose that it's set up as a license fee, and it's $1,000 a month. It's a very small amount of the overall revenue that we're going to be generating, but there is a cost for us to be able to set up and help you facilitate the JV Incubator. So the answer to your question, Tony, is right here, and it hasn't changed. It's the same as it has been. Now, we provide financing for that business license fee. We finance it at 0%. We break it down into low $250 payments. We're going to be cash flowing positive in month 1. So I don't think that there's going to ever be an economic reason for someone to not want to collaborate and run an incubator. It's never going to be a money problem. It just may be not the right fit. Thank you, Tony, for that question. And Kelvin, yes, yeah. So Kelvin has his own business. So he's thinking, yeah, I want to be a joint venture small business incubator partner, but also I want to plug my own company in. And so you could plug your own incubator in or another company and take advantage of these benefits, of course. So the answer is yes, Kelvin. Thank you for your question. Okay, and Robert says he joined late. Again, we've talked about this incubator model before. It's on our website. We've emailed it out. The incubator license fee, again, $1,000 a month. And we finance the incubator license fee at 0% interest and break it down into $250 payments. So Robert, hopefully that is not redundant, but answers the question that you ask. Marcus asks, how big of a space? Well, we'll provide the space because this is a virtual incubator. This is not where people are going to come in and drink coffee and use your Wi-Fi. It's a virtual incubator. It's not a physical incubator. So you would need no space, and we'll provide you the commercial address. We already have the commercial address. We already have the liability insurance. We have the infrastructure for you to plug and play, Marcus. So you do not need to go out and lease a building and have any overhead. So that's why over here, the monthly overhead cost you'll see, unless you decide, Marcus, that you really want to go lease space, you would not have any overhead cost. We'll provide that for you. It's already here. I'm sitting in it right now. Thank you, Marcus. Toussaint's asking on the math here. So if we help a client raise build $100,000 of business credit, whether it be credit cards, trade lines, whatever, it doesn't matter what form, then $100,000 of business credit with a 6% performance fee, which is the same for all types and sources of capital, equals $6,000. So that is the answer. Tony says, thank you. Yes, thank you, Toussaint. Okay, and so Daniel's asking a little bit more. So Daniel's correct. We moved away from the old insurance model for providing key person policies to the new model. The new model is much more consistent in our belief of what clients need. It's a return of premium policy, a term policy. And as I mentioned, they either die and the policy pays out, which hopefully they won't die anytime soon, or they get refunded. And so if you're going to run a joint venture small business incubator, we're going to help you obviously get all of this set up. If you were on the prior insurance distribution model and you're not wanting to run an incubator, then just go do whatever you want. It doesn't really matter to us. But in terms of if you're going to run the incubator, then we're in this together, because guess what? We're splitting revenue across the board 50-50. So we want to make sure that this is done ideally. Thank you, Daniel, for that. And Robert, yep. So again, got the license fee, $1,000 a month. 0% interest, $250 payments, and same thing, Robert. You got it. Toussaint's asking. So if you, I should stay here. If you want to work with us and develop a joint venture small business incubator, great. If you don't, it's okay. It really doesn't matter to us. But the bottom line is, if we want to do this, then what we do is we get the paperwork set up, and we're averaging 24 to 48 hours of having the incubator live. And so the license fee Toussaint's asking about with the incubator starts when we set it up. Just like if you were to go enter into any other business relationship, once you execute that, now we've started. So the out of pocket to set up a joint venture small business incubator is $250 to get it started. And you know, it's a no-brainer. Look at any one of these items. If we sold one policy a month, it would break even for the incubator. But obviously, we're planning on helping a lot more than one client a month, and there's a lot more revenue streams to it. So it's nearly printing money while we're helping clients address their credibility factors. Yep, Brian. And so again, we're switching from the old model of writing the key person policies to the new model. And if you want to plug in Brian as a joint venture small business incubator, then what we're going to do is use the preferred model, which is a return of premium policy. It pays out between 90 and 100% comp level, so 3 to 4 times what many of us were making before. It has much less time involved because literally about 5 minutes is all the agent has to do, because we have back office staff that will work with the client in getting everything else. It's simplified underwriting, so that it processes very quickly and pays out very quickly. Thank you, Brian, for that. Doug, no, this is the same as the branch manager model that we've talked about. It's just the branches are set up now as an incubator with this value proposition. So if you were a branch manager, we just need to, it's not a new agreement or really a change. It's just we need to implement as an incubator. That is all. EJ's asking some really good questions about this because he's astute enough to realize how big of a deal it is. And so through the workforce grant, they're going to provide up to 3 months of salary and or hourly pay for the employee, workers' comp benefits and other benefits, including covering all the tax liabilities. So it's a 3-month window. After that 3 months, if you want to keep that employee, then they move to your to the client's payroll. And if not, you can drop that person off and replace them and start it with another 3-month cycle. So, and there's some variances if they're entry level or management level, but it's an outstanding benefit for small businesses to participate in the incubator. All right, and so then Greg's asking more about the education. So the education is on demand 24/7 for the clients that are enrolling in the Access to Capital program. It's provided via a YouTube recorded webinar, and all of these are available, Greg, that you can listen to them now. It's public information. If you go to iimfl.org, go to small business certification, you'll see hyperlinks to each of the topics each week. So it's not your burden to teach that, it's on demand. That's why we were talking about earlier with blended learning. Now, where the one-on-one comes into play, Greg, is the fact that the joint venture small business incubator is going to provide the mentorship for the participants that are going through the incubator and or even the Access to Capital program. And so that'll be the 15-minute visit once a week for 4 weeks. And we're going to get everyone trained on that next week. We'll give you details on one of the morning trainings next week. Okay, and so Marcus is asking about addresses again. So if you want to go get your own address for your virtual incubator, you're welcome to do so. And so that, of course, will change this model because now you're going to have an overhead cost that didn't exist. If you don't want to incur extra cost or extra effort, then we can plug into our incubator model. We already have a commercial address. We already have the infrastructure. Then it would be a Texas address. So the businesses would be domiciled in Texas. Well, that's a pretty smart thing to do, right? For several reasons. Number one, Texas has no state income tax. Number two, incubator clients in Texas have access to the Chapman Fund. Number three, incubators in Texas have access to the workforce grant for free labor. Now, with all that being said, some of you, like Will, are wanting to set up incubators, a physical incubator. His is in New Jersey. Well, that's fine. So then the workforce grant wouldn't apply. The Chapman Fund wouldn't apply, but that's okay. And he's going to have an expense because he's going to have to rent some space. So it's going to change the profitability. You have to understand when we're offering a virtual incubator, the specific location of the address isn't relevant because you can be domiciled in Texas and operate in Massachusetts, Florida, Washington, what have you. But it's smart to go to a state that has no state income taxes, and Texas is one. So for many years, small businesses have realized that incorporating or forming in some states is preferable to others, where Texas, Nevada, Wyoming, Delaware are some of the states most often that small businesses have formed. All right, Toussaint's asking about when the premiums are refunded, and they're refunded at the end of the term. So if it's a 10-year term policy, return of premium. If they die, then the face value, of course, is paid out. The amount of exposure that the lender has through the collateral assignment is paid, and anything that's remaining goes to the designated beneficiary, typically the business itself. If the policy owner doesn't die, or I'm sorry, if the insured doesn't die, then the premiums are refunded at the end of that term, the end of the 10 years. Thank you for that question. And Brian asked about return of premium. Yeah, so return of premium is our standard. It could vary in some states, but remember, the clients that are going through the incubator most often are going to have a business address in Texas, which provides them no state income taxes, provides them access to the Chapman Fund, provides them access to the free labor through the workforce grant, and return of premium is certainly available in Texas. But good point, Brian. Robert says he's clear. Excellent. Yeah, so Mr. Harris, what we'll do is as clients enroll, we have a systematic process that we go through. And if they're interested in the Chapman Fund, we will assist them with that. If they want assistance in getting set up with the workforce grant, we'll assist them with that. But of course, first, they need to be eligible. And eligibility for these two have geographic requirements. And certainly, if they participate in our incubator with our Texas address, and they're going to qualify for both of those. Okay. Let's see what other questions we have here. So yes, if you decide to become a joint venture small business incubator, we're going to set up, that's not it. I don't have it here, but we will create a landing page for your incubator. We will create a flyer. We'll create the agreement that the clients actually enter into, because they're actually contracting with your joint venture incubator. They're actually paying you the $9.99 to enroll, and so forth. So yes, we'll take care of all of that. Toussaint asked, does he need to be a licensed agent? So if you're going to set up a joint venture small business incubator, you do not have to be a licensed agent. You do not have to be a licensed insurance agent to work with us with the joint venture small business incubators. Now, if you know Toussaint of an insurance agent, I would introduce them to this, because if they're interested in writing 30 to 35 key person policies a month, putting them in what, $30,000 to $35,000 of income per month, this is by far the best way. And Toussaint will pay you $5,000 for every joint venture incubator that you help us start. $5,000. So no, you don't have to be licensed to be a joint venture, to set up a joint venture incubator. However, for licensed agents, this is a gold mine, because in addition to feeding them 30 to 35 policies a month, now they're plugging in to a broader proposition that helps address more credibility factors and brings them a whole lot more money than they would have ever generated off of just selling insurance alone. Great question, Toussaint. All right, let's see here. So could we get the grant for an employee to make the calls? Absolutely, Brian. Absolutely. That was the point I implicitly said. You know, we could use the same model for your incubator and develop a call center. I meant to mention that. Maybe I wasn't clear enough. You know, we could set up a call center for your incubator with 1, 3, 5, 10 employees that are just burning the phone up, right? And the example I gave is even if they made 80 or 100 calls in a day and they were not very effective, and all they managed to do is get one new access to capital client per day out of 100 calls, again, that's a pretty sweet proposition to the client, right? No upfront cost, guaranteed $100,000 capital raise. Then we feed them through the system and we can determine if there's other credibility factors they need help with, as depicted here. And so it's a gold mine for you, right? I mean, if you were selling 10 policies a day and didn't have to pay for the labor for the call center, and then many of them will go into the incubator, not all of them. Most of them are getting credit boost, that's another 10 a day. Most of them have not built out business credit, so that's another 10 a day. And we know we're working with all of them to raise at least 100,000. So this is another 10 of these a day. I mean, it's adult money. All right. Robert asked about offering indexed universal life policies. If you're going to participate in the incubator model, we need to make sure, because we're in this together, that we're offering the best product at the best price to the client, talking about suitability. And for this use, the return of premium with simplified underwriting, high comp is the way to go. Now, if you're not going to operate, Robert, through our joint venture small business incubator, I mean, you're a free agent. You can go out and refer clients into just access to capital all day long. You're going to be treated as an affiliate, which I don't mean that negatively. You're just an affiliate. You're not working with the clients. And if you want to go sell them an IUL because you think that's what's right for them, then that's your business. I'm focused on developing and supporting our joint venture incubators. Okay, so Doug says, do we still complete the form via the IIMFL site? Yeah, so just let us know if you're ready to get your joint venture small business incubator going, Doug, and then just send a quick email over, or you can submit an inquiry here on at the bottom of the incubator page of our website, and we'll get plugged in with you and get that rolling. Got another question about the license fee. So yes, and I'm sorry if I'm not clear enough. It's my fault, not yours. Yes, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. Yes, we have to have revenue to come in to cover our overhead and our expenses. Yes, there's a license fee to set up a joint venture small business incubator. Yes, it's $1,000 a month. Yes, we finance that at 0% interest. Yes, it's $250 a week payments. Yes, it's $250 to get started. So yes to all of those. Okay, Ms. Marsh asked, how long will it take to receive the 5,000? Oh, okay, great. So her question is, she's digging deeper, which is great. So if she's going to start referring folks to us, other people that want to team up and start a joint venture small business incubator, we pay out $5,000 for that referral. And since the client is paying $250, I shouldn't say the client, the partner is paying $250 to get the joint venture incubator set up. We know that they're paying $250 a week, the $1,000 a month. What we're doing is we're paying you $100 a week. So what you'll do is you'll be getting for your referral $100 every week for every incubator that you refer in. So you just set a number. You'd say, well, I want to make $1,000 a week. Well, great, Ms. Marsh. Then refer in 10 people to set up incubators, and like clockwork. Every Friday, you're getting a wire into your account for $1,000. And so you say, well, that's not enough. I need to make $2,000 a week. Well, great. Refer in 20 people that start incubators, and then every Friday, you're going to wire into your bank account $2,000 for, of course, 50 weeks, which is just about a year. Thank you for that. Yeah, Brian, if there's other questions, just let me know and I can get with you. Yes, the Capital Ready program is alive and well. The Capital Ready program is essentially the same as Access to Capital. The only difference is they're paying up front to enroll in the Capital Ready, where with the access to capital, there is no upfront cost. But yes, that's available, Barry, and we have a lot of folks enrolling in the Capital Ready program. They pay $2,500 to you as the referral partner. You keep half, submit half, but that entire $2,500 is a refundable deposit. So that's available. I wouldn't focus on that through the joint venture incubator necessarily because of some obvious, maybe not so obvious reasons, but as an affiliate, if that's what you want to do, that is perfectly fine. And, Robert asked, it may very well be that the clients have other insurance needs beyond just the key person policy. And he's absolutely right. They may not be funding for retirement. They may need dependent coverage. Maybe they have elderly parents that need final expense. Of course, there's many other ways that you may be helping them protect their assets. What we're talking about here is credibility factors for getting funding. All right, Robert, I'll get that over to you. All right, and then Toussaint asks, why is this necessary? Well, when we're building a loan package, what we're trying to do is identify the variables that they're missing to be credible. And what we know is that there are some lenders that require it and many others that prefer that a collateral assignment exists. So let's say I'm a small business owner. Well, I'm a small business owner and we took out an SBA loan ourselves, not the PPP, but a traditional SBA loan. So they required me as a principal to have a life insurance policy. So if I died before the policy was, before the loan was paid off, that the part of the proceeds of the life insurance would go to the lender to pay off the loan. That's what's called a collateral assignment. So that's part of a well-designed loan package, and that's what we do for clients that are in the Access to Capital program. Very good. All right, and then the last question that we'll take for today is from Travis. And so Travis says, all right, what if they don't have the money to enroll in the incubator? And you're going to run into that in some cases. Well, first of all, what I'm recommending here, Travis, is don't start with the incubator. Start with the access to capital, right? Because there's no upfront cost. They can't tell you, oh, I don't have no money, and that's a barrier. If they have no money, then they still qualify, right? And then also they're still getting the guarantee. So you start here. But you're absolutely right, Travis. Not everyone is going to have the funding to enroll in your incubator. They could just be stone cold broke. Well, now we have a problem, don't we? If they're lacking credibility factors, but they're stone cold broke, we're going to have to alter our capital raise approach. What you can always do, though, is bring them on and allow them to be on your team, allow them to work for you, Travis. Maybe they become an affiliate of your joint venture small business incubator. You teach them to go out and teach and spread the word. You do some sort of revenue share with them and you help them generate earned income, right? So if someone is broke, we never worry about that because that's a temporary status. If someone has bad personal credit, we never worry about that because that's a temporary status. If someone has bad or does not have existing business credit, we never worry about that because it's temporary status. We can change credibility factors. We can help them build their business credit, Travis. We can help them build their personal credit, and we can absolutely help them generate cash flow. If that's all they need, if all they're missing to be successful is an extra $5,000 or $10,000 a month, you and I can help anyone resolve that. So cash and credit is a temporary status, and it's fluid, and it's not ever a barrier. All right, well, we had a good call today, so I'm going to briefly summarize and we'll shut it down. So in summary, we want you to understand how the joint venture small business incubator works. First of all, our focus is helping small business owners have the credibility factors they need to be able to access capital. We know that if we start by pitching access to capital, which has no upfront cost and a guaranteed $100,000 capital raise, we will cast the widest net. We will enroll lots and lots of small businesses. By taking them through the 4-week process where we're building their financial literacy and building their loan package, we will uncover where they have existing credibility issues. And then we can help them address those credibility issues by getting a key person policy if needed, enrolling in the incubator or using our commercial address if needed, by getting a credit boost to improve their personal credit if needed, to build their business credit profile if needed. But the end result is all of them, we are guaranteeing a $100,000 capital raise, and we're guaranteeing that the joint venture incubator is going to generate at least $6,000 from every client, because that's the contract, that's the commitment, that's the promise that we're making with the client. So in summary, if you'd like to be a joint venture partner, let's get together and get this set up. Or if you know of others, if you know any licensed insurance agents, share this presentation with them, because I suspect if they knew that there was a model that they could generate an extra 30 to 35 key person policies a month and generate other revenue streams for essentially no out-of-pocket cost using this whole revenue model, they're going to be very interested. And getting you an extra $5,000 for each of those is a big deal. So thank you all for your time. Let's have a great day, and let us know if there's any questions you have that we can help you with individually. Thank you. Bye-bye.